Hey everyone, welcome to Redmen TV. Steve here. I have just spoken to Paul Gorst on this week's episode of Journo Insight. In this clip we're about to bring you, we spoke about EBERECHI Eze and the links to him and Liverpool. So yeah, if you want to check out the entire show after this clip, we spoke about a couple of other things as well, including the Olympics, Arne Slot, Tyler Morton, Manuel Ugarte as well. That will all be available for you in the full show, both in video and podcast forms, over on redmenplus.com. But without further ado, let's get to some Eze chat. Very rarely do I go to fan sites for news, I'll be honest, but the Palace Way reported that Liverpool have spoken to the representatives of EBERECHI Eze. Now, I'll be honest, when I see these things, obviously, and you know this as well, like these rumors, you go, what's that? But then I did actually do some digging on it, and apparently this particular person who runs this website actually knows a couple of stuff. They reported Palace's interest in Antonio Nusa, for example, like first before anyone else. And I think things like that. So I'm going to give it a little bit of credence. Apologies if it's not, but I think I'm right in saying there's nothing from a Liverpool side yet. But Eze, does he tickle your fancy, Paul? If this is one that maybe if we do believe these reports come from the Palace.
It's a very exciting link, isn't it? And when I seen it yesterday, I kind of sat up and thought, yeah, this is one I can get on board with. Every time I watch him play a Palace, he just looks so silky smooth. He progresses the ball really well, doesn't he? You know, he can play centrally, he can play wide. He's obviously with England at the moment, and yeah, there's a lot about it that I like, and the idea of him playing for Liverpool for the next 5 years excites me, and it was one that made me sit up and take note. And like you, I looked into it yesterday, and I was thinking, okay, so it's come from a Palace fan site. I'm trying to word this diplomatically. So that information wouldn't have come from someone at Liverpool, whether informally or sort of more formal briefing, shall we say. That Liverpool aren't briefing to the Palace way with respect. So it's not Liverpool's end. So a Palace giving that information to this particular site, maybe, we don't know. I can't see, the fact that it didn't name the agency for me was a little bit of a red flag. CAA base who, you know, are Eze's representatives. So that was a little bit of a red flag for me. But like you say, this particular site has got one or two things right with regards to Palace, and you know the profile of the player playing a little bit further down the Premier League, possibly having a release clause in his contract, player who's possibly on the cusp of taking another step forward. There's a lot of boxes being ticked there that sound like Liverpool deals, even, you know, accounting for a sort of new way of working, if you like. So I didn't necessarily think there was much in it sort of 24 hours ago, but we'll see.
Got some digging to do.
Yeah, plenty of digging, and it's an exciting one. I hope it's true. I'm hoping to get a little bit more light on that particular one today, but yeah, it's an interesting one.
Absolutely. I suppose, well, he's 25, he turns 26 in a couple of days, so age maybe on the...
Yeah.
Maybe just slightly, but I mean, if you're ruling out 26-year-olds for being too old, I mean, at what point, I mean, that at some point you've got to, you know what I mean, like surely though, I would still say, you know, £60 million release clause reported, 26 years old, you know, you've got him for 4 or 5 years till he's 30. Like, at what point, this cut-off of, you know, like signing young players, I get it, but like, sure, you can't be calling 26 an old player, you know what I mean? Like, that makes...
Well, he's entering his prime, isn't he? You know, Trent's going to be 26 in October, so it is, these are the kind of years where these players are going to become the best of their careers, hopefully. Yeah, you're right, you know, Liverpool do have a way of operating, sort of 22 to 24, 25, 150 to 200 senior appearances, but occasionally they might have to change that stance, and it's not a massive departure, is it, with Eze? Premier League experience, 26. I think personally the Endo situation might have changed some of the thinking behind the scenes at Liverpool, because he was the first player they signed in his 30s since Ragnar Klavan back in 2016, so there was 7 years in between those two deals, and once they've seen how important a player in the 30s can be, maybe that has changed the thinking with regards to players who are sort of already in the mid-20s, as opposed to approaching them when they sign for Liverpool. But yeah, 60 million, you know, that'd make him sort of 4th or 5th most expensive player of all time at Liverpool. But it's the going rate, isn't it, for the top player now that Liverpool paid that last summer for Dominic Szoboszlai. Why would they not pay for Eze if they are in the market for a wide forward, which we do believe they are, and a player who can also play centrally as an attacking midfielder? So loads to like about this link, and yeah, hopefully we'll have more on next week's show.
I suppose you are right about the wide forward. I think that was something I wanted to tie into this. Actually, I saw James James Pearson in his athletic comment today. Like, Liverpool are interested. He said they're looking at wide forwards. I think at the same time he kind of said he'd been told that Nico Williams of Bilbao it wasn't one who was on the agenda. But I don't think that was always a given. So I was like, all right, okay, because I actually thought the way around. I thought Liverpool would be going the other way. I thought the priority would have been, if Kelleher goes goalie, maybe a centre-back, and then a midfielder, and then if you need a forward, maybe, but that depends maybe on the future of other players. But it looks like maybe actually wide forward is something that is really of interest, because James said, I think Lewis spoke to Dan about it, and he said something similar, so his wide forward looks like it's high on the agenda. Yeah,
the centre-back one was an interesting one, because I look at it and think Liverpool need one regardless. But their interest in Lenny Journo is not sort of indicative of a centre-back search. It's more they feel that at the age of the player, the contract situation, the quality, the experience level at that age makes him a bit of a special case that they feel that they could do with bringing him in regardless of any other sort of transfer strategy, wider transfer strategy. So if he does go to Real Madrid, like Liverpool do expect him to, then that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to turn their attention elsewhere in a centre-back search, which was a little bit of a surprise to me, but that seems to be the lay of the land at the moment. The wide forward positions, Liverpool have 5 at the moment, don't they? 5 in the front line for 3 positions, if you don't include Ben Doak, and given his age and his lack of experience, I think it'd be unfair to put him in that bracket at this stage. Yeah. But the fact that they're in the Champions League rather than the Europa League this season is a big one for me, because it means that they're not able to rest and rotate as readily for the European games. They're going to have to be, giving it as much seriousness as they do a Premier League fixture of a weekend when they're in the Champions League, or they won't go anywhere. So do they need a 6th forward, a 6th person in that department? I'd probably suggest that they do. Especially with Jota's injury record as well.
Exactly, I read the other day he might have been injured, he missed training for Portugal, so he's not exactly unblemished in that regard. Yeah,
if Premier League seasons are 9 months long, the past 18 months, the last 2 seasons, he's missed over a third of that with injuries. He had 4 months out with a calf injury, he had a couple of months out across separate spells last season, so he's a player who hasn't got a perfect injury record, has he? And as much as we'd love to have Diogo Jota fit and firing every week, the evidence is there that that's not always the case. So yeah, I do think Liverpool need a 6th option in there, and that is why perhaps you're seeing plenty of links to wide forwards.
I suppose going back to the Eze thing, the only thing that made me pause a little bit, and again we don't even know what Arne Slot's going to do, is that he predominantly he either plays in midfield or as an 8, maybe as a 10 or a left winger. If Liverpool are looking for a player, it's hard to see them buy more. I'll be honest, I'd be shocked if they bought another number 8. They've got plenty of them. They've got loads of guys who probably play as a 10, but they've also got loads of guys who play on the left. The actual, I say weakness or maybe an area where Liverpool maybe could stock up, actually on the right hand side of that attack, because you're all right, it's Mo Salah, it's young Ben Doak come back off a big injury himself. Obviously he's missed the Euros injury.
The gap between those two
is, and also, or it's Harvey in the middle, it's actually bridged by Harvey Elliott, who he probably isn't a winger, if in my opinion. He'll do a job there, but it's not ideal. I would presume, and again this is just looking outside looking in, would be actually someone who plays on the right might be more of a, I don't know if needs the right word, but yeah, maybe like that. If you're building the perfect squad, you would, when you're doing your depth charts and you've done who backs up who, underneath Mo Salah, it's Elliott / Doak, and neither of those are ideal options.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we've seen Jota out there, occasionally Diaz. It's not ideal, is it? I do think that is an area where Liverpool can upgrade, not necessarily upgrade, but bolster. Significantly with real quality. That I think that's why links to Johan Bakayoko at PSV are interesting, because he plays off the left, doesn't he? Obviously with Belgium at the moment in the Euros, and had a sensational season really for the PSV team who walked the Eredivisie title, and he'll be someone who Arne Slot will know in great detail. So those links interest me, but I think Vincent Kompany was close to signing up for Burnley last season, so you'd make the link there with Bayern Munich, but obviously they're in the hunt for Michael Elise as well. So I do agree with you on that right forward link, and Eze is not someone who I don't think he's played there much at all, has he? For Palace he's played centrally or off the left, but that right side would be, Liverpool are in the market for someone who can play across the front, and they have to be versatile. Most Liverpool players are, but I'd ideally want them to be a right side to begin with, and then they can sort of move around as and when needed.
Well, left could actually be the most stock place. You know, I mean, if you say whatever order you put Diaz, Gakpo, Jota, Nunes, the final there. I mean, it might be. They might just think Eze's better than all of them, and there's an argument to be made to that as well.
But also as well, I think Gakpo under a Dutch manager playing quite well for Holland on the left side of the front three. That's his first choice position. I think he's made no secret of that.
He's doing it well.
Does he become a left winger next season? Do Liverpool need someone down the middle as a result? So there are a few things out there to wrestle with there. And again, I keep coming back to it. That's what makes it so interesting this summer.